My wife said she needed emotional distance to think clearly about her future. I gave her exactly that, packed quietly, and left without conflict. She reached out later when clarity came with consequences she hadn't considered before asking for space. I need emotional distance to think clearly about my future. Those were the exact words my wife used when she sat me down at our kitchen table on a Tuesday night. Not our future, her future. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. I'm 34, been married for 6 years, and I just watched my wife tell me she needed space without actually asking for a divorce. The distinction felt important to her. It felt like cowardice to me. How much distance are we talking about? I asked, keeping my voice level. Claire looked relieved that I wasn't yelling. I don't know yet. I just need time to figure out what I want without the pressure of you being here, trying to fix everything. I see. You're not going to fight me on this. Would it change anything if I did? She looked down at her hands. Probably not. I nodded slowly, letting that sink in. 6 years of marriage, and she'd already made up her mind before ever sitting me down. This wasn't a conversation. It was a notification. When do you want me gone? I asked. Her eyes widened slightly. I didn't say you had to leave. We could just create some boundaries. Maybe you could stay in the guest room for a while. Claire, you just told me you need emotional distance to think about your future. Having me sleeping down the hall isn't distance. That's just awkward roommate energy with wedding rings. She bit her lip, that tell she had when she knew I was right, but didn't want to admit it. I guess you have a point. I'll pack tomorrow and find a place. Shouldn't take more than a few days. You don't have to rush. Take your time. I almost laughed at that. She wanted me gone, but was trying to make herself feel better by pretending she wasn't kicking me out. No, it's fine. You need clarity, and you're right. You won't get that with me here. Something flickered across her face. Disappointment, maybe. Like she'd expected me to beg or plead or promise to change. But I was tired of that dance. We'd been doing it for months, maybe longer. Every conversation about our relationship ended with her saying I didn't understand her needs and me trying harder to anticipate what those needs were. It was exhausting, and apparently, it wasn't enough anyway. Okay, she said quietly. If that's what you think is best. I stood up from the table. I'm going to bed. Guest room, since we're starting the boundary thing now. You don't have to. I do, Claire. You asked for distance. I'm giving it to you. I didn't wait for her response. The guest room felt smaller than I remembered, even though I'd been in there 100 times before. It just never felt like my bedroom. I lay there staring at the ceiling, wondering when exactly we'd become people who needed emotional distance from each other. The next morning, Claire had already left for work when I woke up. There was a note on the kitchen counter. There's coffee made. I'm sorry about last night. Call me if you need anything. I crumpled the note and threw it away. Sorry about last night. Like she'd accidentally bumped into me at a party, not dismantled our marriage over herbal tea. I called my buddy Derek during my lunch break. I need a favor, I said when he picked up. What's up? You still have that buddy with the apartment complex downtown? There was a pause. Yeah, why? I need a place to stay. Furnished if possible. Short-term lease. Jesus, man. What happened? Claire needs space to think about her future. Her future? Not both of your. Exactly. Derek let out a low whistle. I'll make the call. When do you need it? Yesterday. That bad. She was disappointed I didn't fight her on it. Like she wanted the drama, but not the actual commitment of dealing with the consequences. Women are wild, bro. I didn't have the energy to defend Claire or argue about generalizations. Can you help or not? Yeah, I got you. I'll text you in an hour. He came through with an address by end of day. A 1-bedroom furnished apartment, month-to-month lease, available immediately. I signed the papers that evening without even seeing it first. When I got home, Claire's car was in the driveway. She was in the living room, curled up on the couch with a glass of wine. Hey, she said when I walked in. Hey, how was work? I stared at her for a moment. We're not doing this, Claire. Doing what? Pretending everything's normal. You asked for distance. I found a place. I'll pack this weekend and be out by Sunday. Her face went pale. This weekend? That's so fast. You said you needed space to think clearly. I'm giving you that. I didn't mean you had to move out in 3 days. What did you mean then? She opened her mouth, then closed it. I don't know. I just thought we'd take it slower. Slower would be me sleeping in the guest room while we both pretend you didn't just end our marriage without filing the papers. I didn't end anything, she said, her voice rising. I said I needed time to think. About your future. Without me. I didn't say without you. You didn't have to. She stood up, her wine glass shaking slightly in her hand. Why are you being so cold about this? I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. I'm not being cold, Claire. I'm being clear. You want distance, you're getting it. You want to think about your future, you'll have all the space you need. But I'm not going to sit here and wait around for you to decide if I'm worth keeping. Tears started rolling down her cheeks. That's not fair. You're right. It's not. But it's honest. I walked past her and headed upstairs to start packing. She didn't follow. I heard her crying in the living room for a while, then the sound of the front door opening and closing. Her car started and pulled away. I sat on the edge of our bed, my bed, I guess, and looked around the room. 6 years of marriage, condensed into a space I'd be packing into boxes by Sunday. My phone buzzed. It was Derek. You good, man? Getting there. Need help moving? Yeah, probably. Sunday work for you. I'll bring the truck. Thanks. That's what brothers are for. He wasn't my brother by blood, but he'd been more family to me than most of my actual relatives. Appreciate it. She taking it hard? She's upset I'm not fighting for us. Are you? Fighting for it, I mean. I thought about that for a long moment. No, I said finally. I don't think I am. Then you're doing the right thing. I wasn't sure about that, but I appreciated him saying it anyway. Saturday morning, I started packing in earnest. Clothes, books, my gaming console, toiletries. The things that were undeniably mine. I left everything we'd bought together. The furniture, the kitchen stuff, the artwork on the walls. It felt cleaner that way. Less like dividing assets, more like just removing myself from the equation. Claire came home around noon with groceries. She stopped in the doorway of the bedroom, staring at the boxes. You're really doing this. I told you I was. I thought maybe you'd change your mind. I taped up another box and set it aside. Why would I change my mind? Because we're married. Because we made vows. Because 6 years should mean something. I turned to face her. It does mean something, Claire. It means I loved you enough to build a life with you. And it means I respect you enough to give you what you asked for. I didn't ask for this. You asked for emotional distance to think about your future. This is what that looks like. She set the groceries down on the dresser. What if I was wrong? About what? About needing space. What if I made a mistake? I closed my eyes for a moment. Claire, you can't do this. Do what? Panic because I'm actually leaving. You don't get to ask me to go and then guilt me for going. I'm not trying to guilt you. Then what are you trying to do? She wrapped her arms around herself. I don't know. I'm scared. Of what? Of you actually leaving. Of being alone. Of making the wrong choice. I sat down on the edge of the bed. 3 days ago, you told me you needed distance to think clearly. Now I'm giving you that, and you're scared. Which feeling is real, Claire? She sank down onto the floor, her back against the wall. Both. Neither. I don't know anymore. That's the problem, I said quietly. You don't know? And you won't figure it out with me here, trying to convince you to stay or love me or whatever it is you think you need. So you're just giving up? I'm giving you what you asked for. That's not the same thing, isn't it? She didn't answer. We sat there in silence for a while, her on the floor, me on the bed, boxes stacked between us like a physical manifestation of the distance she'd requested. Finally, she stood up. I'm going to my sister's for the night. Okay. I can't watch you pack up our life. I understand. She grabbed the groceries and walked out. I heard her moving around downstairs, then the front door closing again. Her car pulled away. I went back to packing. Sunday came faster than I expected. Derek showed up at 8 in the morning with his truck and 2 other guys I vaguely knew from his gym. Let's get you out of here, he said, clapping me on the shoulder. Claire's car wasn't in the driveway. She'd texted me at 6 a.m., staying at my sister's. Good luck with the move. No goodbye. No last-minute plea to reconsider. Just a sterile text message that felt like exactly the kind of emotional distance she'd asked for. We loaded the truck in under 2 hours. I didn't have as much as I thought I did. Most of my life had been merged with Claire's over the years, and separating it out made me realize how little was actually mine alone. I did one final walkthrough of the house. Every room felt like a memory I was choosing to leave behind. The kitchen where we'd cooked dinner together on good nights. The living room where we'd binged entire TV series on lazy weekends. The bedroom where we'd made love and fought and reconciled and slowly drifted apart. I left my key on the kitchen counter. No note. She'd wanted distance, and I was giving her the kind that didn't come with explanations or justifications. Just absence. Derek drove the truck, and I followed in my car. The apartment was in a decent neighborhood, newer construction, generic but clean. It had floor-to-ceiling windows that let in natural light and made the space feel bigger than it was. Not bad, Derek said, looking around. Better than my first bachelor pad. It's temporary. Everything is, man. We unloaded in about an hour. The other guys helped me arrange the furniture, then took off. Derek stayed, ordering pizza and cracking open beers he'd brought. So what's the plan? He asked, sitting on my secondhand couch. Get through the week. Focus on work. Try not to think about it too much. You gonna file? For divorce? Yeah. I took a long drink of my beer. I don't know. I guess I'll see what she does. She's the one who wanted space, so maybe she'll make the next move. Or maybe she's waiting for you to. Then we'll both be waiting. Derek shook his head. That's a hell of a way to end a marriage. Better than screaming at each other, I guess. Is it though? I didn't have an answer for that. The first week in the apartment was strange. I'd wake up disoriented, forgetting where I was for a few seconds. Then reality would settle in, and I'd remember. Claire hadn't called or texted beyond that initial message. I didn't reach out either. She'd asked for space, and I was respecting that. Even if it killed me a little more each day. Work became my refuge. I threw myself into projects I'd been putting off, stayed late, volunteered for assignments nobody else wanted. My boss noticed. You're putting in extra hours lately, he said, stopping by my desk on Thursday. Just trying to clear the backlog. Everything okay at home? I gave him a tight smile. Peachy. He didn't push, which I appreciated. By the second week, I'd established a routine. Work, gym, apartment. Sometimes Derek would drag me out for drinks or dinner. Mostly I kept to myself. I started sleeping better, which felt like a betrayal somehow. Like I should be tossing and turning, missing Claire, regretting my decision. But the truth was, I felt calmer than I had in months. No more walking on eggshells, trying to figure out what mood she'd be in. No more second-guessing every word before I said it. No more feeling like I was failing some test I didn't know I was taking. Just quiet. And space. The same thing she'd said she needed. Turned out, I needed it too. 3 weeks after I moved out, my phone rang at 10 p.m. on a Saturday. Claire's name lit up the screen. I stared at it for 3 rings before answering. Hello. Hey. Her voice was soft, tentative. Is this a bad time? No, I was just reading. Oh, that's good. I mean, I'm glad I'm not interrupting anything. Silence stretched between us. Claire, why are you calling? I wanted to see how you're doing. I'm fine. That's good. That's really good. More silence. Is that all? I asked. No. I mean, yes. I don't know. She let out a shaky breath. Can we meet? To talk. About what? About us. About everything. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and You wanted space to think clearly, Claire. I gave you that. If you've come to some conclusion, you can tell me over the phone. It's not something I want to do over the phone. Then email me. Or text me. But I'm not meeting you for coffee, so you can ease your guilt about how this all went down. That's not what this is about. Isn't it? She was quiet for a moment. I miss you, she said finally. My chest tightened. You miss me? Or you miss not being alone? That's not fair. You keep saying that. But you haven't explained what would be fair in this situation. I just want to talk to you face to face. Please. One conversation. I closed my eyes. Every instinct told me to say no. To protect myself from whatever emotional roller coaster she was about to take me on. But 6 years of marriage doesn't just disappear because you move into a different apartment. Fine, I said. Tuesday evening. The coffee shop on 4th Street. 6 p.m. Tuesday works. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I hung up before she could respond. Tuesday took forever to arrive. I went through the motions at work, barely present, my mind running through every possible scenario of what Claire might say. Maybe she wanted to reconcile. Maybe she wanted to officially end things. Maybe she just wanted closure, whatever that meant. I got to the coffee shop 15 minutes early and ordered a black coffee I didn't drink. Claire arrived exactly at 6. She looked different. Thinner, like she hadn't been eating well. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she wasn't wearing makeup. She looked like the version of herself from when we first started dating, before she'd built up all the polished armor she wore to work and social events. Hi, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. Hi. Thanks for meeting me. You said you wanted to talk. So talk. She winced at my tone, but pressed on. I've been in therapy. Since you left. That's good. My therapist helped me realize some things. I waited. I've been unfair to you. For a long time. I kept moving the goalposts, making you feel like you were never enough, when the truth is, I was scared. Scared of what? Of being vulnerable. Of letting you see the parts of me I don't like. So I kept you at arm's length emotionally, blamed you for not understanding me, when really I wasn't letting you in. I took a sip of my cold coffee. Okay. She looked confused. That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say, Claire? That I forgive you? That I understand? I do understand. But understanding why you did something doesn't undo the damage it caused. Tears welled up in her eyes. I know I hurt you. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I believe you. So where does that leave us? I set my coffee cup down carefully. I don't know. Where do you want it to leave us? I want to fix this. I want us to try again. There it was. The thing I'd been waiting for her to say for months before she asked for space. And now that she'd said it, I felt nothing. No relief. No joy. No desire to jump at the chance. Just a hollow sort of recognition that this moment had come too late. Why? I asked. Why what? Why do you want to fix this now? What changed? She looked down at her hands. I realized what I lost when you actually left. I thought I wanted space, but what I really wanted was for you to fight for me. To prove you cared enough to refuse to leave. So this whole thing was a test? No, that's not. It sounds like a test, Claire. You asked me for something you didn't actually want, hoping I'd refuse to give it to you. And when I respected your wishes instead, you realized you'd made a mistake. That's textbook manipulation, even if you didn't mean it that way. It wasn't manipulation. I genuinely thought I needed space. Until you got it. Yes. I leaned back in my chair. Here's the thing. When you asked for distance, I gave it to you because I respected your autonomy. You're an adult who knows your own mind, or at least I thought you were. I wasn't going to fight you on something you said you needed. I know, and I appreciate. I'm not finished. My voice was calm but firm. These past 3 weeks have been the most peaceful I've felt in over a year. I'm not walking on eggshells anymore. I'm not trying to decode your moods or anticipate your needs. I'm just existing, and it feels good. Her face crumpled. So you're saying it's over? I'm saying I'm not coming back to the same dynamic we had before. The one where I'm constantly trying to prove I'm enough while you keep me at a distance. It wouldn't be like that. I'm in therapy. I'm working on myself. That's great, Claire. Genuinely. But you working on yourself doesn't obligate me to come back and see if it sticks. So you don't love me anymore? I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I'd married 6 years ago. The woman who'd slowly become a stranger I lived with. I don't know if I do or not. And I think that's my answer. She started crying in earnest then. Not the delicate tears she'd shed before, but deep, gasping sobs. People in the coffee shop were starting to stare. I reached across the table and put my hand on hers. Claire, you're going to be okay. This is going to hurt for a while, but you're going to be okay. Are you? She managed to ask between sobs. Yeah, I said, and realized I meant it. I think I am. I stood up. I'm going to go, but I want you to know something. She looked up at me, mascara running down her face. You weren't wrong for asking for space. You were wrong for expecting me to read your mind instead of listening to your words. If you wanted me to fight, you should have said that. If you wanted couples therapy, you should have suggested it. If you wanted anything other than distance, you should have communicated that. I can't be held responsible for respecting what you explicitly asked for. I know, she whispered. Take care of yourself, Claire. I walked out of the coffee shop and got into my car. My hands were shaking, but not from fear or regret. From relief. I'd finally said everything I needed to say. The closure Claire had been seeking turned out to be mine. I drove back to my apartment, ordered Chinese takeout, and watched a movie I'd wanted to see, but Claire would have hated. It felt like freedom. Over the next few weeks, Claire texted occasionally. Small things at first. Hope you're doing well. Saw something that reminded me of you. Still seeing my therapist. Making progress. I responded politely, but briefly. I wasn't trying to punish her, but I also wasn't going to give her false hope. A month after our coffee shop meeting, she texted asking about filing for divorce. I think we should make it official, she wrote. I don't want to keep you in limbo. Agreed. I responded. I'll have my lawyer draw up the papers. You already have a lawyer? I called one last week. Seemed like the responsible thing to do. Oh, we can keep it simple. No fault. Split everything down the middle. Okay. Unless there's something you want to fight for? A long pause, then no. That's fair. The divorce process was remarkably undramatic. We'd only been married 6 years, had no kids, no significant shared assets beyond the house. Claire wanted to keep it since she'd already been living there. I agreed, taking a buyout of my half of the equity. We met once more to sign papers at the lawyer's office. She looked better this time. Healthier, more put together. You look good, I said as we waited for the lawyer to make copies. Thanks. I've been running again. Helps with the stress. That's good. You look good too. Different somehow. Different how? She tilted her head, studying me. Lighter. Like you're not carrying something heavy anymore. I guess I'm not. The lawyer returned with our copies, and just like that, it was done. 6 years of marriage, dissolved with signatures and notary stamps. We walked out together, stopping on the sidewalk outside the office. Well, Claire said, I guess this is it. I guess so. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. For all of it. I know. Me too. You don't have anything to be sorry for. I do though. I should have spoken up sooner when things started feeling off. Instead of just trying harder and hoping it would get better. She nodded slowly. We both made mistakes. Yeah, we did. An awkward silence settled between us. I hope you find what you're looking for, Claire. Whatever that is. You too. We didn't hug or shake hands or make promises to stay friends. We just nodded at each other and walked in opposite directions. That night, I sat in my apartment with a beer and my signed divorce papers. I thought I'd feel sad or angry or something profound. Instead, I just felt ready. Ready to move forward without looking back. Ready to figure out who I was outside of being Claire's husband. Ready to build something new, whatever that looked like. Derek called around 9. So, how'd it go? It's done. Officially divorced as of this afternoon. How you feeling? Good, actually. Really good. Want to come out and celebrate? Celebrate a divorce? Celebrate freedom, man. New chapter. All that inspirational poster bullshit. I laughed. Sure, why not? Where are you? He gave me the address of a bar downtown, and I headed out. The place was packed with people younger than me, full of energy and possibility. Derek was at a table with some people from his gym. The free man arrives, he announced when he saw me. Everyone cheered, and I felt my face get hot. Subtle, Derek. Subtlety is for people who give a shit. You're divorced, man. Own it. Someone handed me a shot of tequila. I downed it, feeling the burn all the way down. We drank and talked and laughed about nothing important. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt like myself. Not someone's husband trying to measure up. Not someone failing at marriage and trying to hide it. Just me. It felt good. Around midnight, I headed home, pleasantly buzzed and genuinely happy. My phone had a text from an unknown number. I opened it cautiously. Hi, this is Nisha. We met at Derek's gym last month. He gave me your number. Hope that's okay. Would you want to grab coffee sometime? I stared at the message for a long moment. The old me would have deleted it, feeling guilty even though I was legally divorced now. The old me would have overthought every possible implication. But the new me? The new me typed back. Coffee sounds good. How's Thursday? Her response came almost immediately. Thursday's perfect. Looking forward to it. I smiled and pocketed my phone. Thursday came, and I met Nisha at a different coffee shop than where I'd met Claire. Different location, different chapter, different everything. Nisha was easy to talk to, laughing at my bad jokes and telling stories about her disastrous attempts at learning to cook. My kitchen looked like a crime scene, she said. There was marinara sauce on the ceiling. The ceiling? I laughed, genuinely amused. How does that even happen? Immersion blender without the lid secured. Never again. We talked for 2 hours without any awkward silences or loaded questions. When we said goodbye, she hugged me. It was brief and friendly, nothing more. But it felt like a door opening. I went on 2 more dates with Nisha over the next few weeks. Nothing serious, just enjoying getting to know someone new without the weight of expectations or history. Claire texted me once more, about a month after the divorce was finalized. I heard through the grapevine that you're seeing someone. I'm happy for you. I didn't know if she meant it or not, but I chose to take it at face value. Thanks. I hope you're doing well. I am. Therapy is helping. I'm learning a lot about myself. That's good, Claire. Really. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you ever think about what might have happened if I hadn't asked for space? If we tried therapy together instead? I thought about it for a moment before responding. Honestly, no. I think we needed to end. We were making each other miserable, and neither of us was brave enough to admit it. You asking for space was the catalyst we needed, even though it hurt. Especially because it hurt. Sometimes the right thing is the hard thing. When did you get so wise? I'm not wise. I just finally stopped pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. I'm working on that too. Good. You deserve to be happy, Claire. Just not with me. Yeah, I'm starting to understand that. We texted a bit more over the following months, the conversations getting easier and less loaded. Not friends exactly, but not enemies either. Just 2 people who'd once meant everything to each other and now meant something different. Something less intense, but more honest. 6 months after the divorce, Derek and I were at his place watching a game. So you and Nisha getting serious? He asked during a commercial break. Maybe. We're taking it slow. That's probably smart. Yeah, I'm not in a rush to jump into anything heavy. She seems good for you though. You smile more when you talk about her. I thought about that. It was true. Things with Nisha felt light in a way things with Claire never had. No drama, no games, no trying to decipher hidden meanings. Just two people enjoying each other's company and seeing where it went. She is good for me. I agreed. You gonna tell her you love her? Derek, we've been dating for like 3 months. So, when you know, you know. I'm not saying I know anything yet. I'm just saying I'm enjoying where we are right now. Fair enough. My phone buzzed. It was Nisha, running late tonight. Stuck at work. Rain, check on dinner. No problem, I typed back. Want me to bring you food? You're the best. Pad Thai. On it. I showed Derek the texts. See? That right there. That's what I'm talking about. What? She cancels. You don't get bent out of shape. You offer to bring her food. She appreciates it. Simple. Easy. No bullshit. Yeah, I said, standing up. I guess it is. I grabbed my keys and headed out to pick up Thai food. On the drive over, I thought about how much my life had changed in less than a year. This time last year, I was walking on eggshells in my own house, trying to be enough for someone who'd never tell me what enough looked like, slowly drowning in a marriage that was suffocating us both. Now I was divorced, living in my own place, dating someone who actually seemed to enjoy my company. It wasn't the life I'd planned, but it was a good life, maybe even better than what I'd had before. I picked up the food and drove to Nisha's office. She came down to meet me, looking exhausted but happy to see me. You're a lifesaver, she said, taking the bag. It's just pad thai. It's thoughtfulness. That's better than pad thai. She kissed me quickly before heading back inside. I drove home with that warm feeling in my chest, the kind I'd almost forgotten existed. When I got back to my apartment, I poured myself a drink and sat by the window. My phone buzzed. Claire's name appeared. I hesitated before opening it. I'm dating someone. Thought you should know. I smiled and typed back. That's great, Claire. I hope he treats you well. He does. He's patient with me. Calls me out when I'm being unfair. It's different. Different good. Yeah. Scary good. You deserve scary good. So do you. I think I found it. With Nisha. Yeah. I'm glad. You seem happier. I am. You do too. I'm getting there. Turns out therapy actually works if you commit to it. Who knew? Huh. Yeah. There was a pause in our texting. Then she wrote, I don't regret asking for space. I regret how I did it, but I don't regret the outcome. I stared at that message for a long time. It was the most honest thing she'd said to me in years. Me neither, I replied. Friends. Eventually. We're not there yet, but eventually. I can live with that. Me too. I set my phone down and looked out the window at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Claire was building a new life. So was I? Different lives, different paths, different futures. But we were both finally moving forward instead of staying stuck in something that had stopped working a long time ago. She'd asked for emotional distance to think clearly about her future. I'd given her exactly that. And in doing so, I'd found my own clarity. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is give them exactly what they ask for. Even when it breaks your heart. Even when it ends your marriage. Even when it means walking away from someone you once loved more than anything. Because real love isn't about holding on. It's about knowing when to let go. Claire had wanted space to see her future clearly. She got it, along with all the consequences she hadn't considered. The empty house. The divorce papers. The reality of actually being without me instead of just threatening it. And through it all, I'd learned something important. I'd learned that I could survive losing someone I thought I couldn't live without. I'd learned that peace was better than passion that burned everything down. I'd learned that sometimes the person you need to fight for isn't your partner. It's yourself. A year later, I ran into Claire at a mutual friend's wedding. She was there with someone, a tall guy with kind eyes who held her hand like she was precious. I was there with Nisha, who'd become my girlfriend officially about 6 months prior. Hey, Claire said when we crossed paths at the bar. Hey, you look great. Thanks. You too. This is Michael. I shook Michael's hand. Good to meet you. This is Nisha. The four of us stood there for a moment, the weight of history hanging between us. Then Michael said something funny about the chicken being overcooked, and we all laughed. We chatted for a few minutes before drifting apart to different tables. Nisha squeezed my hand. You okay? Yeah, surprisingly okay. She seems happy. She does. I'm glad. Are you? Glad, I mean. I turned to look at Nisha, really look at her. At the woman who'd shown me what it felt like to be with someone who actually wanted to be with me. Who didn't play games or test my devotion or make me guess what she needed. Who just loved me, simply and openly, and without conditions. Yeah, I said. I really am. She smiled and kissed me. The DJ started playing, and we joined the crowd on the dance floor. I caught Claire's eye once from across the room. She raised her glass slightly, a small acknowledgement. I raised mine back. Then I turned my attention to Nisha, to the present, to the future I was actively building instead of the past I'd finally let go. Later that night, Nisha and I lay in bed at her place, the wedding energy still buzzing through us. Can I ask you something? She said, tracing patterns on my chest. Always. Do you think you'll ever get married again? I thought about it. Maybe. If it's with the right person. If we build something healthy from the start instead of trying to fix something broken. What would that look like? Something healthy. Communication that's actually honest. Problems addressed when they're small instead of buried until they explode. Two people choosing each other every day, not just on the wedding day. She was quiet for a moment. That sounds nice. Yeah, it does. Think we could build something like that? I pulled her closer. I think we already are. She fell asleep in my arms, and I stayed awake a while longer, thinking about how strange life was. How the worst thing that happened to me, Claire asking for space, my marriage ending, had led to the best thing. Finding myself again. Learning what I actually wanted instead of just trying to be what someone else needed. Building something real with someone who met me halfway. My phone lit up with a final text from Claire. You looked happy tonight. Really happy. I'm glad you found that. I typed back with one hand. Careful not to wake Nisha. You too. Take care of yourself, Claire. You too. And that was it. The final conversation, the final closure, the final letting go. I set my phone on silent and settled in next to Nisha. Tomorrow I'd wake up and live my life. Not the life I'd planned when I married Claire, but the life I'd built after she asked for emotional distance, and I gave her exactly that. The life where I chose peace over chaos. Honesty over games. Myself over someone else's undefined expectations. It was a good life. Better than good. And I'd earned every moment of it by having the strength to walk away when someone I loved made it clear they didn't want me to stay. Sometimes love means fighting. And sometimes it means knowing when the fight is already lost. Claire had asked for space to think clearly. I gave it to her. She reached out when clarity came with consequences. And I chose myself. In the end, that was the only choice that mattered.